What if the store you shop at every weekend is hiding something sinister behind its fluorescent lights? What if the smiling greeter at the entrance isn't human at all? Welcome back to my channel, Whispering Abyss. Tonight, I have something truly haunting for you. These aren't just your average ghost stories. These are tales from one of the most familiar places in America, Walmart. From empty aisles that echo with voices to late-night shifts that never end the same way twice. Each of these stories will make you think twice before your next visit. So turn the lights low, put in your headphones, and whatever you do, don't wander off alone in aisle 9. Which story creeped you out the most? Let me know in the comments. Now, let's begin. Story 1. The Stockroom Whisper. My name's Darren, and I used to work the night shift at a 24-hour Walmart in rural Kansas. Back in 2017, I took the job because it paid slightly better than my fast food gig, and I figured stocking shelves in a quiet store would be easy money. I was wrong. The first week went by smoothly. Just me, some quiet pop music overhead, and a few other overnight staff. The fluorescent lights buzzed constantly, but after a while, you stop noticing. The real trouble started the night I got assigned to the back stockroom. It was just past 2 a.m. when Marcy, my manager, asked me to wheel a pallet of toys from the back and start sorting them. She handed me a key card and warned, half joking, "Don't let the whisper get you." I laughed, thinking she was making fun of me for being new. "Whisper?" She smiled. "Oh, just something the old-timers used to say. You'll be fine." I didn't think much of it until I stepped into the stockroom. The door slammed behind me with a mechanical clunk, and I was alone. The place was massive. Stacks of boxes stretched higher than I could reach, with narrow lanes cutting between them like tiny canyons. The air was off, warmer than the rest of the store, dustier, and as I pushed the squeaky cart forward, something began to feel wrong. Like I was being watched. That's when I heard it. A whisper. Faint, dry, and close. I turned fast, but there was no one behind me. Just a row of sealed-up boxes. I froze, listening. Silence. Maybe it was the air vent. Or maybe my mind was playing tricks on me. I laughed nervously and kept working, wheeling boxes into the toy aisle. I didn't mention it to anyone that night. But the next time I was assigned to the stockroom, it got worse. 2 nights later, I got that familiar key card and a new task: pull holiday decorations from the back and prep them for display. I dreaded walking in, but I told myself it was just a weird noise last time. About 10 minutes in, I started hearing it again. A whisper, just like before. Except this time it said something. "Darren." I stopped cold. The voice was thin, dry, like leaves scraping pavement. It said my name again. "Darren." I called out. "Who's there?" No answer. I backed out of the aisle slowly, peering between boxes. Nothing moved. Nothing but the sound of faint buzzing from overhead lights. I tried to convince myself someone was playing a prank, but only 3 people were on shift that night, and all of them were on the floor. The whisper came again, but this time it was directly behind me. I turned and saw a figure standing just at the edge of the fluorescent light. Pale, expressionless, wearing a blue Walmart vest. It didn't have a name tag. Its mouth didn't move, but I heard the voice anyway. "You don't belong here." I blinked, and it was gone. Just like that. No footsteps, no sound, just the boxes and the shadows between them. I bolted out of the stockroom and didn't stop until I found Marcy at the front register. I was out of breath, pale, and shaking. She looked at me and sighed. "You saw it, didn't you?" I nodded. Marcy didn't laugh this time. Marcy walked me into the break room and poured a cup of coffee with hands that trembled slightly. "You're not crazy," she said quietly. "I've heard it too." She told me the story like it was a dark secret passed down through generations of overnight staff. Years ago, back when the store first opened, a man named Leo worked night stock. He was quiet, didn't talk to anyone, and was always in the stockroom. One night, he clocked in and never clocked out. No one saw him leave. Security footage showed him walking into the back with a pallet of toys, then vanishing behind a tower of boxes. They searched the place top to bottom. Nothing. His car was still in the lot. His uniform folded neatly in the break room locker. No signs of struggle. No answers. Eventually, they wrote him off as a runaway. But since then, people have reported hearing whispers in the stockroom. Some say they've seen him or something wearing his face. Marcy said every few years it happens again. A new hire hears the whisper, sees the figure, and quits. Most do. Some don't. What happens if you keep going back? I asked her. Marcy didn't answer. I should have quit, but I needed the money, and part of me thought maybe it was just an elaborate initiation ritual. Maybe it was all in my head. So I went back. This time, I brought headphones and blasted music to drown out the whispers. It worked for a while, until the music cut off mid-track. My phone froze. The flashlight app glitched and flickered out. Then I heard a whisper from inside the box I was holding. Help me. I dropped it fast, heart pounding. Inside was just a stuffed reindeer, one of those cheap holiday toys that sings when you squeeze it. I didn't touch it, just backed away and started running for the door. But the path had changed. I swear the stacks of boxes had shifted. What used to be a straight exit was now a winding path. I turned a corner and found another aisle that didn't exist before. And standing in the middle was Leo. His vest was faded. His eyes were black. He lifted a hand, slowly, and pointed at me. Then the lights went out. All of them. I ran blind, slamming into shelves and boxes, following the faint outline of the exit sign until I crashed through the door and fell onto the wax tile floor of the main store. When I turned back, the stockroom was empty. Quiet, as if nothing happened at all. I quit the next day. They offered me a raise to stay. Said they'd move me to a different department. I didn't care. I left and never looked back. But sometimes when I walk past a Walmart late at night, I swear I hear it. A whisper, dry and close, like someone calling my name. Some say the stockroom is just a room full of boxes. Others know better, because once you hear the whisper, you never forget it. Story 2. Aisle 9 Vanishing. My name is Olivia, and I used to work at a Walmart in North Carolina. Small town, quiet place. Nothing much ever happened there. Until one night, something did. I was working the 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. shift, stocking shelves in the cleaning supplies section. The store was nearly empty except for the occasional late-night shopper or bored teenager wandering the aisles. That night, I was working alone when an older woman approached me near aisle 7. She looked confused, frail, but polite. "Excuse me, dear. Do you know where I can find the mothballs?" I smiled and pointed toward aisle 9, right down there on the left side, near the bottom shelf. She thanked me and shuffled off. I didn't think anything of it until 20 minutes passed and I realized she never came back. I walked toward aisle 9, thinking maybe she needed help reaching something. But when I turned the corner, it was empty. At least, it looked empty. There was this strange hush in the air, like the whole building was holding its breath. Even the music playing over the speakers had gone silent. I stood there for a moment, scanning up and down the aisle. And then I heard it, a small metallic clang, like something fell behind the shelves. I stepped closer to the shelf where the mothballs were. That's when I noticed a handprint on the bottom corner of the shelf, smudged like someone had been gripping it from the other side. I crouched down and noticed that the back panel of the shelf was slightly off. Not broken, not open, but like it wasn't flush with the wall. Just then, I heard it again, a noise behind the shelving. A shuffle, a whisper. I jumped back and turned around. No one was there. I radioed maintenance, just in case. They sent Greg, the overnight janitor, who showed up with his utility cart and flashlight. I told them what I saw. Greg wasn't the joking type. He took one look at the handprint and went pale. "We need to get management," he said. Within 10 minutes, Marlene, the overnight supervisor, arrived with a security guard named Jack. I expected them to roll their eyes and tell me it was nothing, but they didn't. Marlene stared at the shelf for a long time. Then she muttered, "Not again." I asked her what she meant, but she ignored me and told Jack to call it in. As Jack got on a walkie, I asked Greg, "What's going on?" He hesitated, then said, "You ever heard of the aisle 9 disappearances?" I shook my head. He looked me dead in the eyes. 3 people in the last 10 years. Customers. 1 minute they're shopping. The next gone. No cameras ever caught them leaving. Their cars are still in the lot. The last one, an older man, said he was looking for bug repellent. Last seen, right here. I felt my stomach twist. And then we all heard it. A voice. A woman's voice, faint and distant, calling out from behind a shelf. "Help!" Marlene ordered everyone out of the aisle and had Jack cordon it off with plastic chains and signs that read, "Wet floor, do not enter." But that didn't stop me from coming back later. I couldn't sleep after my shift. I kept hearing that woman's voice in my head. "Help!" So I returned the next night, pretending I was restocking bleach. When no one was around, I slipped back into aisle 9. Everything looked the same, but the air was colder now. I crouched by the shelf and gently tapped the back panel. It sounded hollow. Then I pushed. Nothing. But when I pressed both corners at once, the panel creaked and slid open. Behind it was a gap, a narrow tunnel of sorts, carved into the concrete wall, barely large enough for someone to crawl through. The smell that came out was old, damp, earthy. I pulled out my phone and turned on the flashlight. The beam cut through the dark, revealing a dusty crawl space that disappeared into blackness. I should have left. Called the cops. Told Marlene. But I crawled inside. The tunnel was longer than I expected. Maybe 20 feet in before it opened up into a small concrete room. The floor was covered in flattened cardboard boxes and old Walmart price tags. And in the center was a shopping cart. Inside the cart was a woman's purse, torn and dusty. A name tag still clipped to it. Geraldine Parker. I froze. That was the name of the woman I'd helped the night before. Suddenly, the temperature dropped even lower. My flashlight flickered. I turned around, ready to crawl back, but the tunnel was gone. The wall behind me was solid. No entrance. No sliding panel. Just smooth concrete. Panic flooded my chest. I pounded on the wall, screaming. No sound echoed back. Then I heard it. Footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. Coming from the far corner of the room. I pressed my back to the wall, clutching my useless phone as a figure emerged from the dark. It was Geraldine, but something was wrong. Her eyes were blank, skin pale. She moved like she wasn't in control of her body. And behind her, a shadow moved. It was tall, thin, and somehow blurry, like it didn't belong in this dimension. Its limbs were long, too long, and its head tilted unnaturally as it watched me. I backed away slowly, whispering, "Please." The shadow reached out and touched Geraldine's shoulder. She collapsed instantly, like a puppet whose strings had been cut. Then it looked at me and smiled. I don't remember how I got out. The next thing I knew, I was being dragged through the aisle 9 shelves by Jack and another security guard. I was disoriented, covered in dust, and missing 3 hours. They said they found me standing perfectly still, facing the shelf. When I asked about the crawl space, Marlene said no such space existed. The shelving was all backed by solid concrete. No voids, no tunnels, nothing. They made me sign a report saying I'd experienced a hallucination due to lack of sleep. I quit the next day. A few weeks later, I checked the store's website. Geraldine Parker was listed in the missing persons archive. Reported lost in 2014. She disappeared while shopping for mothballs. No trace. No leads. Just like the others. I don't go to Walmart anymore. Not even during the day. Because sometimes, even in crowded stores, aisles don't end the way they're supposed to. And if you ever hear someone calling for help in aisle 9, keep walking. Story 3. Security camera. My name's Mateo, and I work in loss prevention for a Walmart in Nevada. Sounds official, but really, I just sit in a small dark room with a bank of monitors, watching the security feeds all night. It's boring. Mostly just people trying to sneak candy into their bags or arguing with the self-checkout. Until one night, something happened that I still can't explain. It started with camera. We have over 60 cameras in the store. Each is numbered and labeled. Camera 37 points down a side hallway by the employee-only area. It's rarely used, mostly janitorial supply closets and an old break room we don't use anymore. One night, around 2:45 a.m., I noticed movement on the monitor. Camera flickered and showed what looked like a person standing at the end of the hallway. They were facing the wall, motionless. I leaned closer. There wasn't supposed to be anyone back there. No employees were scheduled to be on break, and that hallway was locked off. I radioed Jordan, the overnight floor manager. "Hey, you see anyone by the old break room?" Static. I repeated myself. "Check the hallway by camera 37. Someone's there." A moment later, Jordan came back. "I'm looking at it right now. No one here." I frowned. On my screen, the figure was still there, unmoving, just barely visible at the edge of the camera's range. "Are you sure?" I asked. Jordan sounded annoyed. "There's nothing here, Mateo. The lights are off. Empty hall, but I could see the figure. I swear I saw it." And then it turned to face the camera. That's when a feed cut to black. I stared at the dark monitor, trying not to panic. I switched to another angle, camera 38, which covered the side of the hallway. Nothing, just an empty corridor. But when I toggled back to camera 37, the figure was there again. Only closer now, closer to the camera. Still unmoving, still staring. I tried to zoom in, but the image glitched, scrambled, and froze. My system threw up an error I'd never seen before. "Input invalid, feed desync." I radioed Jordan again. "Hey man, I'm telling you, something's off with this camera." He sighed. "Mateo, it's empty. Maybe the camera's bugged." I didn't respond. I just watched. After a minute, the figure moved again. Just a small shuffle forward. Then another, until it was standing directly in front of the lens. Its face was blurred. Not like the camera was low res, more like the face itself was wrong. Shifting, like it wasn't meant to be seen. Then, the camera feed changed. It didn't go black this time. It changed to a different view. A room. I didn't recognize. Dimdili. Peeling wallpaper. A single chair in the center, facing the wall. The figure stood behind it. The camera shouldn't have access to any room like that. Then the feed cut out completely. I switched between every other camera. Nothing. No glitches. No movement. Just camera 37. Flying. I wrote it up in the log and went home at 6 a.m. But I couldn't sleep that day. The image of that room, of that figure, stayed burned in my mind. The next night, I came in early. Camera 37 was back online. But something was different. This time, when I clicked on camera 37, the feed looked normal. Just an empty hallway. Nothing strange. But in the far corner of the frame, something was scratched into the wall. I zoomed in. The resolution wasn't great, but I could make out 5 words etched deeply into the drywall. "Stop watching or you're next." My stomach sank. I pulled the footage from the previous night to see if it had been there before. Nothing. The wall was clean just 24 hours ago. I called Jordan into the office and showed him. He stared, pale-faced. "That wasn't there yesterday. You see it too?" I asked, relieved I wasn't going crazy. Jordan nodded slowly, then pointed at the timestamp. "Wait, this says it was written at 3:12 a.m. He clicked his tongue. "I was in that hallway at 3:05. I would have seen someone." We pulled the footage from the surrounding cameras. No one entered or left the hallway between 3 o'clock and 3:20, except the figure. He appears at 3:11 a.m., walks to the wall, scratches the words into it, and then vanishes mid-step. Literally. One frame he's there, the next gone. No exit, no door, just gone. We stared in silence. Then the screen flickered. Camera 37 went black again. But this time when it returned, the camera view was upside down. And in the corner, a new message was scratched in reverse. "He sees through the cameras. We unplugged the monitor." The store brought in a technician the next day to inspect the camera system. They said everything was fine. No electrical issues, no firmware bugs, nothing unusual. But camera 37 continued to act strange. Footage wouldn't save properly. Glitches would show figures standing where no one was. Sometimes the audio channel would activate on its own and capture static. But not just static. Whispers. Faint and garbled, but real. I ran one through audio software and boosted the volume. I shouldn't have, because in between the static, a voice clearly said, "Mateo, let me in." I slammed the laptop shut. That night, I refused to watch camera 37. I avoided it. turned the monitor off completely. But around 2:30 a.m., something strange happened. All the other cameras cut out, one by one, like dominoes falling, until only camera 37 remained. Its monitor turned itself back on, and it was showing that same room again, the one that doesn't exist in our building. Only this time, the chair was facing the camera, and someone was sitting in it. Me. I froze. The man in the chair was me. Same clothes, same haircut, same everything. But he wasn't moving. Just sitting there, mouth open slightly, eyes completely blank. Then the feed glitched and returned to the hallway. And scratched into the wall now was a new message. You're already inside. I quit the next morning. I didn't wait to explain. Didn't collect my last check. I just walked out and never came back. Sometimes I still dream about that hallway, about the camera. And every now and then, when I wake up in the middle of the night and look at my bedroom wall, I swear I see something scratched into the paint. For words. Stop watching. He's coming. Story 4. The greeter who wasn't there. You ever notice how Walmart greeters always smile, even when it's 3 in the morning and no one else in the world wants to be awake? I used to work overnight at a Walmart in Oregon. Small town, cold winters, the kind of place where regulars show up at weird hours and linger just to talk. We had this greeter named Harold. Sweet old guy, thin as a rake, always wore a brown cardigan over his vest. He had these watery blue eyes that always seemed just a bit distant, but he never missed a shift. Not once. He'd say the same thing to everyone who came through the door. Welcome, welcome. You'll find what you're looking for tonight. Sounded like nothing, right? Just a friendly line. But then one day, Harold died. Heart failure, they said. Peaceful. In his sleep. The store put up a little memorial table near the entrance with his picture, some flowers, and a cardboard sign that read, "Thank you, Harold, for your warm welcome." We all felt it. The store felt colder without him. A little too quiet. But that silence didn't last long. Because a week after the funeral, people started seeing Harold again. It started with one customer. She came in around 3:15 a.m., walked straight to the service desk, pale as a ghost. I was stocking gum at the register and overheard the whole thing. She asked, "Is that old man okay?" The greeter, the woman behind the counter, blinked. "What old man?" "The one at the door," she said. Skinny guy in a sweater. He smiled at me when I walked in. The employee shook her head. "Ma'am, there's no greeter scheduled tonight." The woman insisted. He said I'd find what I was looking for. Then she fainted. Later, we checked the footage. The camera by the entrance showed the automatic doors sliding open, but no one was there. No greeter, no Harold, just a woman walking in, nodding, and mumbling thank you to thin air. It freaked us out, but maybe she was sleep-deprived or hallucinating. That was the theory, until it happened again, and again. Different people, always after midnight. All of them described the same man. Tall, thin, cardigan over a blue vest. Smiling, whispering that same line, "You'll find what you're looking for tonight." Some customers laughed it off. Others weren't so lucky. I remember the night I saw him. It was dead quiet. One of those nights where the fluorescent lights hum just a little too loud. I was rolling a cart of canned beans past the entrance when I saw movement. I glanced up. Harold was standing there. Same soft smile. Same watery eyes. His vest was darker than I remembered, almost black. He nodded at me. "Welcome, welcome," he said. Then he added, "Tonight, it's your turn." I blinked. He was gone. No footsteps. No noise. Just gone. I ran back to the break room, heart hammering. I told my co-worker Sam what I saw. He looked uneasy, then told me something I didn't expect. I saw him too. Last night, we started asking around. Quietly. For other employees admitted the same thing. They'd seen Harold, spoken to him. One said he followed her into the break room and stood silently behind her while she ate. When she turned around, he'd vanished. We brought it to the store manager. She gave us a tight-lipped smile and said, "We don't discuss Harold anymore." That's when I knew this wasn't just stories. This was real. Things got worse. Customers started disappearing. First was a man who came in looking for camping gear. He was on camera walking into the store, but never walking out. His car stayed in the lot for days. Then a teenage girl. Then a woman in scrubs. Each of them had the same pattern. Enter after midnight. A brief glance toward the door. A nod, like they were listening to someone speak. Then vanish without a trace. The store buried the stories. Called them misplaced data or malfunctioning footage. But we knew better. One night, I stayed late, determined to get proof. I hid behind a pallet near the entrance and waited with my phone ready. At exactly 3:13 a.m., the door slid open, and Harold stepped inside. Only, it wasn't quite him anymore. His mouth was too wide. His eyes were pitch black. His skin was stretched like it barely fit over his skull. He turned toward me, straight at me, and smiled that broken smile. "You're next," he whispered. I ran, but before I left, I looked back one last time. He was standing beneath his old memorial photo, and he was smiling. I quit the next day, moved 2 states away. But every now and then, I dream about those sliding doors and the man who greets me on the other side. If you ever find yourself at a Walmart in the dead of night, and the greeter says something about finding what you're looking for, turn around, leave, because sometimes what you're looking for is looking for you.